And Jesus said, "If they say to you, 'Where have you come from?' say to them, 'We have come from the light,' the place where the light came into being by itself, established itself, and appeared in their image. If they say to you, 'Are you it?' say, 'We are its children, and we are the chosen of the living Father.' If they ask you, 'What is the sign of your Father within you?' say to them, 'It is movement and rest.'" The Gospel of Thomas, saying 50. Friends, I'd like to tell you a beautiful story based on these words from Christ. Maple Hollow was a small American town tucked between endless cornfields and forgotten railways, a place that time itself seemed to pass over. The once bright storefronts were fading, for sale signs leaned on cracked windows, and the evening train was the only sound that reminded people the world still moved. Inside Millie's Cafe, the locals gathered every morning. A few farmers, a tired teacher, a widowed pastor. Conversations were short and laughter had become rare. They lived not in hope but in habit, holding on to what was left. Then, one misty morning, a woman named Audrey arrived. She was young, with kind eyes and quiet strength that made people look twice. She bought the old Miller farmhouse at the edge of town, the one everyone said was cursed with loneliness. When she first stepped into Millie's Cafe, people looked up. The old men at the counter paused mid-sip. Millie, wiping her hands on a faded apron, asked, "So, where'd you come from, dear?" Audrey smiled, her voice calm as still water. "I've come from the light, the place where the light came into being by itself, where it established itself and appeared in our image." Now, her answer drew puzzled glances, but something about the way she said it, steady, sure, and almost musical, made no one mock her. She wasn't boasting, she was remembering. Now, Audrey lived quietly at first, planting wildflowers around the farmhouse and walking into town with a basket of bread for anyone in need. But soon, people noticed something strange. Where she went, peace followed. When the local mechanic lost his wife and stopped coming to church, Audrey showed up to his shop with coffee and sat beside him in silence for hours. When a storm knocked out power for 3 days, she organized neighbors to share food and candles, saying, "The light was never in the wires. It was always in us." A few thought she was naive, but others, especially the weary ones, began to feel something awakened inside them. One evening, the mayor, a pragmatic man hardened by years of disappointment, stopped her by the town square. "Why are you doing this?" he asked. "You act like you belong to something we can't see." She smiled and replied, "We are its children, and we are the chosen of the living Father." He frowned. "And what's the proof of this?" Audrey knelt and touched the soil beneath her hand. "The sign of the Father within us is movement and rest. When He moves, I follow. When He rests, I trust. The light never stops shining. we're the ones who forget to open our eyes. Now, weeks passed, and the change in Maple Hollow grew undeniably. The church that had once echoed with emptiness began to fill again. The diner's laughter returned. The farmer who had been ready to sell his land decided to stay, planting a field of sunflowers in honor of the light. Children played again in the park. Strangers helped one another without keeping score. The town, once dim and forgotten, began to shine from the inside out. And then, just as quietly as she had come, Audrey was gone. Her house stood empty, but not lifeless. Behind the church where she had planted her first garden, a wooden sign stood carved with her final message. We came from the light. We are its children. Let your movement be mercy, and your rest be faith. Now, friends, Jesus' teaching lives through stories like this, reminders that our true origin is not a place, but a presence. The light he spoke of still breathes in us today. The movement is how we live, love, forgive, and lift others. The rest is how we trust God when life goes still. And you don't need to perform miracles to prove the light within you. You only need to live in such a way that others feel it when you walk into the room. Because the children of light don't just carry it, they awaken it wherever they go. God bless you, friends.